Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly webinar series presented by hack.com. We're very happy to have you join us in the first webinar of 2018. Happy New Year to everyone. We hope that you had a great holiday, a great Christmas. Many of you are probably back home now from travels. I know I am. Under the weather a little bit. Traveling within Canada during the winter season definitely isn't easy. So thank you for joining us. We're very happy to have you. Once again, my name is Sam Borgi, Chief Editor at Hacked. What we like to do every week, usually Friday night, Eastern Standard Time, we like to record this weekly webinar giving you the lowdown on what happened in the cryptocurrency market over the previous week, and then maybe to draw your attention on some of the upcoming themes that could impact the market going into next week. A lot of us in the crypto market, we trade or we analyze the market. We're involved some way in this market 7 days a week. So I know a lot of you aren't really following the typical 9 to 5 Monday to Friday schedule. So we like to get this out to you as soon as we can, helping you with your outlook beginning on Saturday, really. So I know a lot of you are in Europe. Good morning. A lot of you are in North America, in which case it's very late. So let's get to it. The agenda for today, as it normally is on our weekly series, and you can let me know if you like this template, if you like this formula, if you want us to change anything, we're happy to, but we like to give you a very brief overview on the week that was in the market, give you some information about the global cryptocurrency market, of course, of Bitcoin and the altcoins. We then want to give you a recap of hack.com and maybe a few words about what to expect coming up next week. Having said that, let's move here to the weekly overview. Of course, over the past few weeks, the story has been the altcoins. The altcoin surge continued this week up until Friday. Friday, we saw a pretty big reversal, but the altcoins continue to dominate the headlines because you have the likes of Ripple, you have lesser known coins such as Cardano, Tron, and several others. Stellar Lumens is another one, IOTA. Many of these altcoins are surging to record highs and bringing the total market cap higher. So whereas the narrative for most of 2017 was Bitcoin's meteoric rise, lately it's been the altcoins. And we've been covering Ripple now for the past few weeks. Ripple was the best performing crypto of 2017, and it continued to surge this week, briefly trading above $3 on multiple occasions actually. Ethereum as well. We haven't talked about Ethereum very much recently. We know that it's a platform of choice for ICOs. We know there's some transaction bogged down when it comes to Ethereum, but it reached $1,000 this week. So altcoins are really making a dent in the market. It's clear by when you look at some of the articles that we did this week on Cardano, on Tron, on a few others, that investors are now doing their research and they're digging a little bit deeper into the market, identifying the gems in the rough in terms of the top altcoins to invest in. If you remember the founder of Ethereum earlier or last year, I should say, Vitalik, he pretty much said that 90% of coins are probably going to fail. But what we're seeing now is a shift toward what he called tokens 2.0, an era where the tokens that you're going to see are going to be of higher quality. Well, there are already some pretty high quality altcoins in the market when you look at their specifications or what they're trying to do. Another example for is IOTA that I think I may have mentioned. IOTA simply is a tool for accessing the Internet of Things economy, and I've been writing about IoT, Internet of Things, for a few years now. IoT essentially is a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity when you look at the productivity gains and the direct benefit market-wise of connected devices. So lots of opportunity. Not all altcoins are the same, and I think traders now are beginning to see that. Lots of market drivers, further diversification away from Bitcoin. Industry partnerships, we know Ripple has announced them. Tron appears to be on the cusp of announcing some major partnerships. Also growing use cases, I mentioned IOTA. Of course, Ripple is considered the banker's cryptocurrency. As use cases continue to rise in the eyes of investors, these coins are rising with them. I mean, who would have thought a couple weeks ago that Cardano and Tron would be in the top 5 or 6 cryptos? Pretty astounding stuff. This is a chart here of the ADA USD exchange rate. As you can see, Cardano spiked to record highs at the new year. Same could be said about Tron. We covered both of these this week. Let us know if you like our analysis. We'd love to cover more of these. We are going to be covering more altcoins in greater depth as we move forward. Continuing with the weekly overview, giving you just some information now on the cryptocurrency market highlights. So how about this? The cryptocurrency market, the total value, total market cap of all cryptos in circulation hit a high of $782 billion earlier this week, according to crypto market cap. That's the highest of all time. So you're essentially looking at a market that's worth more than $750 billion. At last check, I checked it about an hour or so ago, there were 39 cryptocurrencies valued at $1 billion or more. This number is growing steadily over the weeks and months. Interestingly, altcoins now represent about 2/3 of the market when you assess it based on market cap, and they account for more than 60% of daily trade volume, at least based on the most recent trade volume data that we've seen. So of course, altcoins now are making greater noise. I know Ethereum isn't always considered an altcoin, but I think for this purpose here it is. Just letting you know, we tend to separate it between Bitcoin and the rest. Bitcoin was up 17% for the week. It saw healthy gains, but the vast majority of those gains came on Friday. Friday, Bitcoin rose over 12% based on last check. It briefly touched $17,000 USD. This chart here, we usually show you the global cryptocurrency market cap, but I gave you that information in the previous slide. The global crypto market here, you take a look at the share of Bitcoin relative to the altcoins. So the red here, I think it's red or orange, represents Bitcoin's share of the market. And some of these other colors represent the biggest altcoins. I think you probably have Ripple in there, you have Ethereum, and you have a few others. So you take a look at the decline here in Bitcoin's market share. At the start of last year, Bitcoin was essentially, if you go over here, was essentially close to 90% of the market cap for cryptocurrencies. Earlier this week, it hit a low of around 32%, and at last check, it was around 37%. So obviously, we're seeing more capital flowing into the altcoins at the expense of Bitcoin. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's actually a very good thing. The market is, in a sense, balancing out as more capital flows into some of these high-powered or high-valued or high-value proposition, I should say, cryptocurrencies. Getting kind of excited here, as you can tell. So we covered cryptos. Obviously, we are operating in a broader market that also features stocks, currencies, bonds, as well as commodities. Haven't really seen a lot of action, in the bond market recently, but equities were absolutely on fire this week. I'm going to focus here on the U.S. side. The Dow Jones, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ all rose to record highs this week. As you can see, the Dow crossed 25K, the S&P crossed 2,700, and the NASDAQ actually rose above 7,000 for the first time. An absolutely bullish week for stocks. They rose, I think, between 2.3 and like 3.5% this week, something like that. It was between 2.5 to 3.5% gain in 1 week for the major U.S. indexes. All that in a holiday shortened week. Volatility, as measured by the CBOE VIX, it came within half a point of a record low on Wednesday, I believe. So the VIX, as some of you know, essentially it's a gauge of market fear. It trades in the opposite direction of the S&P 500. That's why I love it so much. It gives you a lot of information about how investors are feeling and how the performance of stocks will be in the near future. So I'm constantly looking at volatility and comparing it to stocks. And if I were to show you here a chart, if I were to show you a graph of the S&P 500 compared to the VIX, maybe I'll do that next week, what you'll see is an inverse relationship. You'll see the S&P rising and you'll see the VIX falling. The VIX and the S&P trade inversely with one another about 3/4 of the time. So that's why volatility is a really interesting thing to measure. Of course, gold rose this week. Gold is actually up over 6% over the past 3 to 4 weeks. It reached a multi-month high as the dollar fell to about 4-month lows against a basket of currencies. I know it fell sharply against the euro and the British pound. The December FOMC minutes, some of you who are monitoring the Fed, the December FOMC minutes pretty much said that most policymakers support gradual rate hikes for 2018. And in fact, many of them said that Trump's tax policies will fuel growth in the near term. So because of Trump's tax policies, quite a few officials at the Fed are more comfortable now with raising rates, or they're comfortable with the outlook on higher interest rates throughout 2018. So all signs seem to point to higher rates I know that some of us are a bit skeptical. I know that I've speculated before that the Fed may be raising rates to eventually bring them back down again later, because the economy is going very strong in one sense, but there's a lot of slack depending on how you look at the numbers. Obviously, wage growth has been very disappointing. You look at how weak wage growth has been, it pretty much says that the quality of jobs being created isn't so good. So keep an eye on the numbers. The Fed apparently is on track to continue raising rates. Janet Yellen will head her final FOMC in January before paving the way for Jerome Powell to lead. A recap of hack.com. As you know, we're very active. I've been very busy with all these millions of articles I've been doing. I've been focusing a lot on the altcoins recently. I like giving you all some detailed analysis, broad market analysis on the altcoins. I'll focus on Tron, Cardano, Ethereum, Ripple, Stellar. These articles have been quite popular, as you can tell by the most read articles of the week. Why investors should pay attention to Tron was number 1. Another Tron article came in at number 2. Stellar Lumens skyrockets on New Year's Day was a big one as well. And Bitcoin 2018, prepare for major value crashes. That was one that I think I also put out on New Year's Day. In terms of what else we're doing at Hack, you may have seen the post. We are hiring full-time for Hack.com. If any of you are interested, if you know anybody, please email Jonas. He will take a look at your applications. I put together the job descriptions earlier this week. Essentially, I'm looking for the dream candidate to join Hack.com. And pretty much Jonas asked me, man, what do you need? And I said, this is what I need. I need somebody who can really research the cryptocurrency market, help out on the research, on the analysis, and on the writing. We also desperately need an ICO writer. As you know, these ICO analysis pieces take quite a bit of work. So we are searching full-time for these two people. You have to be well-versed in the crypto market or in finance or in fintech. You have to have really good writing skills, be part of work well with a broader team. And if that's you, please send your application to Jonas, and we'd love to hear from you. There's a very, very strong demand. Please, if you're out there, join us. We're an awesome team. We're growing very, very fast. Thanks to all of you. So what to watch for next week? Again, last week I asked what's next for Ripple. This week I asked what's next for Ripple and Ethereum. Ethereum crossed the $1,000 mark. Ripple crossed $3. Keep an eye out on those two. Will altcoins continue to dominate, or will we see the pendulum swing back in the favor of Bitcoin, as we saw a little bit on Friday? Crypto exchanges, the major ones, as you know, last month began blocking new accounts to deal with the huge influx of volume. I know there's at least one crypto exchange that said it will be accepting new accounts again by the middle of January, so keep your eye out on that. Just take a look at who is still accepting new accounts. I think Bitfinex and Bitstamp have put a hold on it. I know Kraken is still accepting new accounts. Trump's infrastructure spending blueprint is coming in the next week or so. The State of the Union address is expected for January the 30th, and the president will make infrastructure a key cog in the agenda moving forward. As you know, there's been a lot of talk about the wall being constructed, and infrastructure spending was a major item on the campaign trail. It's expected to boost growth over the next 10 years. We'll see how that plan materializes. Again, we see a dollar divergence with commodities. As you know, commodities, oil and gas, precious metals are priced in US dollars. So when the dollar falls, it typically means there's a good chance that commodities will rise. We've seen that happen recently. How low can the dollar fall? Let's keep an eye out on that as we head into next week. That covers it, everyone. We hope that you've enjoyed this webinar. Please leave us a comment. Let us know if you have any suggestions. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next Friday for another installment of our weekly webinar series. Take care.